So here's your fuel filter that we will be putting on. It should look like this. So today I'm going to show you how to change the diesel fuel filter on a Sprinter van. And it just requires taking off a few items and unhooking the fuel filter and putting a new one in. So we will get started. So here's your fuel filter that we will be putting on. It should look like this. Some of them have lines coming out of here. I'm going to try and use this one and connect the existing line here. I've ordered them in the past and this line has been too short. So hopefully this one will work once we get in there. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we are going to take this hose clamp and loosen it. Goal is to take off the air cleaner housing here. And again, like I've said in other videos, I am not an expert. But these things are not that hard to do. So another thing you need to do is you need to unhook this, which is where you would jump the Sprinter with another vehicle off of this. Looks like there's a little clip underneath and that comes out. So you can just set that aside because you want to be able to pull this all the way off. Pop this out of the front, hopefully. There we go. All right, and we can set this aside. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to remove these star bolts that are in here, and that way it'll give me access to pull this out. So I have to figure out which ones are which. I'm going to do this before I pull the hoses, the hose clamps, and the wires. It just might make it easier for me to get in there. I'm not sure exactly what I have to take off. I'm going to take off this hose clamp over here. And again, this can be done by anybody. I am not a mechanic, but I can put something back together after I take it apart. So it's not super hard generally. Pull this out of the way to get better access. Try not to take out too many parts. I just leave stuff on. Sometimes clips get broken when you undo them unnecessarily, or and sometimes you have to. So nice and easy. This is an 8mm deep socket. I don't think you need a deep socket necessarily, but alright, so I have 3 bolts out, and let's see if there's any other in there. So I'm not sure. So yeah, so now you can see it's totally loose, so I can pull it up and down. So what I need to do now is I need to remove these hose clamps here, and usually you can take pliers, or I'm sorry, pliers to put them back on, but a small screwdriver to go underneath the lip and pop them off. So I will do that. Alright, to get these hose clamps off, come in on the side and you pop it off. So it just pops off like that. So you come in on the side, and I'll do this one, and they pop off. So now they're loose. Alright, so I'm going to also remove this. It looks like there's just a star bolt here and a star bolt here. So I'll remove that, so that way I have a little better access in there. Not sure if it's necessary or not, but one of the hard parts is getting the fuel hoses off, because they sometimes need to be twisted in order to break the seal. It's not really a seal, but to break them so they actually turn and will pull off. So that was easy. There's just around the hose on the bottom, there is a hose guide, I guess. So now once that's out, okay, so now I don't need to take that out. I'll make sure I got that in there. So now you have better access to the hoses. So you need to take these 2 hoses off. You need to take this electrical connector off. So come in with the screwdriver carefully so I don't wreck the hose. Let's see if I can't get it started. Once it kind of breaks that first seal, it comes off fairly easy then. Probably hard to see with my hands in there, but you just need to basically bully that that hose off of the nipple there. Okay, there we go. All right, and there'll be some diesel coming out, but that one's loose. So now I do the same thing here. Kind of pull and push. There we go. There. All right, so this wire's in the way here. You can unclip this and get at it and take that off. I'm going to try and unbolt it. Like I said, the clips, it's warm today, so probably it's not a problem, but sometimes those will break. I don't want it to break, so I know the bolts aren't going to break. I try and keep the bolts separate from each component, so that way I know, because sometimes they're all the same size, sometimes they're not. This one here was a small one, so. All right, so I take these two star bolts out. Might give me a little bit more access in here. All right, for this tab, I found it. It should be a push down in the back, which it was a little bit, but if you come under here with the screwdriver, lift up on this tab, that'll loosen it up. And now we're past that little tab, so we should be able to pull it out of there. On there, there we go. There, so it just pulls off. So if you come under here, lift up that tab, do it all gently. That's the easiest way. So one trick is, if you can't see something, is use your phone and take a close-up picture of it. Because like on this clip, I'm not sure exactly how it unclips. So I go ahead and take a picture, gets me in there closer, then I can zoom in on that picture to see how. Okay, so I have the fuel filter out, and now I need to take out this clip here. So I think you can do it without, this is just a little pick tool, but I think you can do it. Basically, you pull that out, you want to keep that obviously in a good safe spot. And then this should pull off, and the other one, and then the hope is that the other one slides on here. There we go. All right, so that is the old fuel filter. Just want to make sure everything's the same on your fuel filter that you're putting on here. And you're good. So now you need to take off this bracket here and slide it over the new fuel filter in the same location. So you want to make sure you're here, so that way it can just slide on there and everything can line up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be reasonable. Okay, so as you can see, I took this off and put it onto the new fuel filter. One of the tricks that I've seen was this here that goes to your hose is basically halfway between these two. So just line that up there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be fairly decent in order for these to pop on correctly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on this, which will be perfect. This should pop on. You heard it pop. And now you can put this pin on the top, super easy. And there. It is in and ready to go. There you go. You just have a little pop on it. Now you can go ahead and put these back together. It took me a little bit to figure out the snap feature on it, but it just snaps in. It's super easy. And then you need to put this pin back in, which is just a plastic piece that keeps it from being able to come out, and that just snaps in too. Now I'm going to put those bolts back in. Can you see? Yeah. So I'm going to put these star bolts back in. If you watched my EGR cleaning video, you'll know you want to go really gently on these bolts, and you basically want to hand tighten them to make sure that you don't cross thread them. It's pretty simple. but you have to. And you know, one trick is to take pictures before you start and as you go, and so you can see how it goes back together. Worst case, YouTube, which works great. All right, so now I'll take off these plugs here. I want to hold them so I don't lose them into the engine. And there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this down in there, line up my field lines, make sure everything is lined up as far as the wires, and as I go down I'm going to push these on a little bit. It's a lot easier to go on now because they have feel that came out, so it kind of lubricates the hose to go in, but you can push these on. All right, I have the hose clamps on. You want to make sure that the hose is all the way to this little stopper here. What you do with this is you just take this, hopefully you can see it, and you squeeze it together, and you should be able to hear it click. All right, so I got these to go on. You just push them really hard sometimes, and then you'll hear a snap, and it'll snap on. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these bolts in. So you want to make sure these little holders that kind of hold the wire, or I'm sorry, hold fuel lines and other wires and such in place are properly placed. All right, so now before I tighten everything down, I'm going to slide the electrical on, make sure it snaps in. Okay, I heard the snap, so I'm good. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten these down. If you watch the EGR cleaning video I did, that's really simple. All right, so everything's in. Next I'll put this on, and then I'll piece it back together. All right, so this goes on. You want to make sure this hose goes in. In the back, you have a couple, I guess, round things with with rubber on them, and it slides into there. You'll see where there's like a piece of plastic that can then it slides onto that. There's probably a trick to much of this that somebody can share in the comments. Two little pieces, they just slide in, so there we go. Wasn't that hard, just I was off just a little bit, so these pop in. This goes on to the air filter housing, make sure it's solid. I think this is air intake here, just pops into, there we go, there, and you can hear it snap, so that works good. Make sure everything's tight. Again, look for anything loose. All right, so you can see I have everything back together. It was fairly easy. You just have to have the right fuel filter. So the first time I did it, I did not have the right fuel filter. It took me a couple tries. Amazon kept sending me air filters, but this time it looked like everything worked fine. Now I will go ahead and turn the key on, and that primes and the fuel filter, and then everything should be good. So I always check afterwards to make sure there's no leaks. It's like an oil change, make sure there's no leaks over time, but you'll see if it runs good. And like I said, it's a simple project for sure. Anybody can do it. You just have to be brave. A few tools are needed, and that's it. And generally those are things that you have in your garage, so or pick up at Walmart. So that's it. It's all set, and we'll see you in the next video.